Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to Unparalleled Universe for another later than everybody else action figure review. And today we're taking a look at the brand new Mezco 112 Collective Mezco site exclusive Spider-Man Homecoming homemade suit Spider-Man. And I'm really excited about this guy. That's why I don't care if I'm super late on the review. I want to talk about it because it's super dope. But let's get into it. So the packaging is very small. It's pretty much the same thing they always use for their exclusives. It looks cool. Spider-Man, Homecoming, Marvel, all that good stuff. A Mezco sticker on the side. You get like a spider logo, which looks cool. On the back you get some nice looking artwork. So that is the box. It's collector friendly. I do like the smaller packages compared to the other packages that Mezco uses. And speaking of package, let's take a look at the figures. So here we have them, and I think Mezco really lucked out with the design that Sony and Marvel chose to go with the homemade suit Spider-Man, because it works so perfectly for the Mezco style, and I think they nailed it. I think they did a really good job with it, and there are some complaints that people have with it, but I think for the most part this figure is really good. And I love this design because it really reminds me of Scarlet Spider, and I really hope Mezco gives us a Scarlet Spider one of these days. But let's take a look at what we have going on here. So on the middle of the sweater there, you have the spider that's kind of messed up. You know, it's the same logo that's on the stand, and that's the way it's supposed to be, but that looks very good. And here, let's just talk about this real quick. I know a lot of people keep commenting on the way that his crotch area looks, but in person it doesn't look as crazy as it does as some of the pictures online. And especially, I think the reason why it looks crazy sometimes is because the hips are cut pretty deep, I guess, so that you could bring his leg up pretty high, and that kind of creates like gaps, and it makes it so you could, you know, see that. But if you kind of shift his hips to the outside, you don't even really see it, so that solves that, you know. But anyways, everything looks really nice on him. You have the little the web shooters that look good. And I like what they did with the shoes. For some reason, I thought this whole thing was going to be plastic, and it's not. So that's very interesting, and it looks very good. And the shoes themselves are plastic, and that looks nice. But yeah, I'm really happy with what they did here. The look, it looks perfect in my opinion. It looks like he jumped right out of the movie. The only thing he's missing is a zipper, but you know, I'm glad that they didn't try to force that in here, because the figure's very small, and a zipper, the zipper handle or whatever you call it, the little zipper piece would have looked awkward on the sweater here. But yeah, look at that. He looks really cool. Then you have the hood that you could bring over his head. The hood does look, it can look kind of funny. It looks a little loose on his bald head there, but you know, it looks fine. You could kind of mess with it and get it to work. And then you have the strings for his sweater there, and you could pull those and actually tighten down on the sweater. But be very careful when you pull these. You don't want to pull one of them without knowing that you don't have both of them, and then pull it all the way out, because that would suck to try to get that back in there. But yeah, anyways, I'm very happy with this guy. You could see that there's pockets, but they aren't real pockets, just kind of fake faux pockets, but that's okay. The stitching is pretty well hidden, because it's like on the inside of the legs or the inside of the arms, so it doesn't ever look too awkward when you're posing it. You could hide all the stitching areas fairly easy. And let's take a closer look at the web shooters here. I feel like the sculpt of the web shooters isn't as crisp as, you know, as we've come to expect from Mezco. For the most part, it looks good, but when you look up close, it's not as, you know, it's not as nicely sculpted as you'd expect. But it does serve its purpose, so, you know, I'm not mad at it or anything. I was just a little surprised that it didn't look as clean and sharp as other sculpted parts from Mezco. And one thing that's really cool, speaking of sculpted parts, is I like how they sculpted wrinkles on the neck. Look at that, that's cool. And I noticed that a little bit after I was handling this figure for a little bit. I think that's a really cool detail, and it kind of makes it all fade in really good between the clothes and the plastic parts. And another thing that's really interesting is on the head, there's actually texture to it, so it looks like cloth. It's not just like smooth plastic. And I like how you could see the ear there through the mask. That looks cool. The little goggles look really nice too. And yeah, I think yeah, I like everything about the way this figure looks. I'm very happy with it. And Spidey here does come with a lot of cool accessories, including a bunch of hands. So first off, we have a pair of fists, and then we have a pair of open hands, and then we have a set of thwip hands, and then we have one gripping hand for his right side. And then he comes with a couple of web accessories. He has one that kind of looks like it's shooting out to stick on something, and then he has another one that just looks like it's shooting out like a ball of webs. And then he has a posable one that has a bendy wire in it that you could have him do all kinds of cool stuff with. And then he does come with this piece that you could clamp onto the back of him, and then it does have a magnet so you could stick it onto a metal surface, and it is a pretty strong magnet, and you can see that it'll hold him and it'll hold onto the metal really good. So that's a really cool accessory that they include with their Spider-Man figures. And then you have the Mezco stand, and here we have the spider logo on the center. It's the same spider logo that's on his chest. You do have a peg that the figure could stand on, or you could put him on the articulated posing arm. And these web accessories are very nice. The sculpt work is very well done. They are a little stiff, so I'm kind of worried that these might snap. I don't remember the webs on the other Spider-Man figures being this stiff, so I got to be a little bit careful with that. And the best way to put these things on is to get the web accessory and actually stick it into the hole of the hand. And there's also a channel on the lower palm of the hand where part of the web is going to travel through. So you just stick it in there like that, and then you grab your figure and stick the peg into the hole there, and then bada bing bada boom. And finally, here we have probably the most important accessory, and that would be the unmasked Tom Holland Peter Parker head sculpt. And man, that thing just looks really, really good. I want to say it looks perfect, you know, but I'm sure people will complain and say that it doesn't look perfect. But man, as far as I could tell, it's spot on. It even has that little mark on his chin that that Tom Holland has. That's insane for such a small figure, you know. Usually you don't get this level of detail on face sculpts unless we're talking like Hot Toys or whatever. But man, this thing looks crazy. Look at his eyes. You got like that reflective quality to it. That looks nice. You have some nice looking hair sculpted there and some nice details. It's brown with some black wash or something. But yeah, just this face looks really good. And just because I was curious, I wanted to see if the unmasked head could fit onto the Mafex Spider-Man, because it did come with an unmasked head, but it's not very good. Obviously this one's way better, but it just doesn't work. It's too big, and the peg hole is nowhere near the right size, so I just have some blue tack hanging out in there. But I mean, this would look cool if it worked. It'd be cool to get like this slightly shrunken down. You might be able to make it work from some angles, but for the most part, nah, it's not gonna work out. Okay, now for some size comparisons. Here we have Spider-Man next to the Mezco 112 Collective Ragnarok Thor and the Mezco 112 Collective Tactical Suit Punisher. And for me, it's always hard to determine what accurate scale is when it comes to characters being portrayed by actors, because when you're watching the movie, they often make changes so that the actors don't look awkward next to each other, so they'll do things to adjust their height or whatever. For example, we always see Robert Downey Jr. arguing with people that seem to be the same height as him, but in real life he's actually much shorter than them. And so it's just for me, it's just really hard to determine what's accurate. But according to Google, Chris Hemsworth is 6'3" and Tom Holland is 5'8". So, you know, Chris Hemsworth is much taller than Tom Holland, and I think that is reflected here. It looks like Thor towers over him, which is good. I mean, he's not a giant next to him, but he looks like someone that, you know, that has almost, you know, that's like about 6 or 7 inches taller than him, and I think that works out. If anything, I think that people might say that Thor's a little too small or Spider-Man's a little too big, but I mean, that's just if you're being nitpicky. For me, it works if Spider-Man looks small and Thor looks big. I'm happy there, but I can definitely see someone complaining that Spider-Man is a little too tall. I don't know, and I'm not going to say that I could completely disagree with that, but for me, it works just how it is. And now here we have him with one of my favorite Spider-Man figures, which is the Mafex Homecoming Spider-Man. And then we also have the Marvel Legends Homecoming Homemade Suit Spider-Man. And you could see that the Mezco one and the Marvel Legends one are almost the same size. The Mezco one is just a little bit bigger, so you might be able to stick him into your Marvel Legends display if you want, even though he would stand out. But, you know, as far as scale goes, it might work. And, you know, I'm really excited about the Mezco Tech Suit Spider-Man, but I really don't think that it's going to top the Mafex one. I really love this Mafex figure. It's probably one of my favorites. But what do you think? Do you guys think that the Mezco one is going to top the Mafex one? And now here we have Spider-Man alongside the Mezco 112 Collective First Appearance Daredevil and Mezco 112 Collective Black Suit Spider-Man. And now here we have him next to the Marvel Legends Black Panther and Marvel Legends Vision. And here's Spider-Man alongside the Marvel Legends Civil War Iron Man and the Marvel Select Infinity War Iron Man. And for the articulation on Spider-Man, I think they actually did a really good job with it. Recently, Mezco's kind of been hit or miss when it comes to articulation. A lot of their figures recently have been limited in that regard, but I think they did a really good job with Spider-Man. There are a few things that I was surprised that he doesn't have, but it's nothing too crucial. But anyways, let's get into it here. So his head can move side to side. He has movement at the lower neck and at the upper neck, so you could get his head to look up to about there. You could get it to look down to right there. You get some side to side, some left to right, some tilt. You got a bunch of stuff going on with the head and the neck articulation there. And then for his torso, he has the mid-torso joint, of course. Then he has the waist joint, and using both of those, you could get some really nice crunch out of him. So that's really good. You could go side to side. Let's see here. You could go side to the side a really decent amount, actually. And then you could go back. So the torso on Spider-Man is actually really good for articulation. And then for the arms, you're able to come up to about there, and then it stopped because of the cloth. And then you could come out to the side. You have upper bicep swivel. And on this body, it doesn't have any type of butterfly joint on the shoulder, and it would have been cool to have it in there, but as is, it's not horrible. But you do have the upper bicep swivel. You do have double jointed elbows, which is awesome, because I know that was a concern at one point. People thought that it wasn't going to have double jointed elbows, so I'm glad that they decided to do that. Hopefully they make the same decision with the Netflix Daredevil. And then you have a swivel at the wrist, a slight hinge, but his web shooters kind of get in the way, so you don't get too much hinge, but it is there. And then for his legs, he could do the splits. Check that out. Bam, that's cool. And then you could bring his legs pretty high up. Let's check it out here. So you got pretty good movement at the legs going forward, but I'm always hesitant to bring his legs up too much because I don't want the cloth rubbing in between the pieces of plastic underneath it. But they do go up pretty high. You come out to the side, go back to about there, kick forward. A lot of good stuff going on with the legs. And then you have the upper thigh swivel, double jointed knee. There's no lower leg swivel. Foot, you have some swivel. You have some rocking side to side. Go forward to about there, come up to right there. So like I said, the articulation is pretty nice on Spider-Man. I was a little surprised that they did not put in the shoulder swivel, but other than that, I have no real gripes with the articulation. I think that everything works good, and you could get him into most of the poses that you would like to. So overall, I'm very happy with this figure. I think that the design of the homemade suit Spider-Man works towards Mezco's strengths, and I think that it was very smart of them to make this figure in the first place, and I'm very happy that it was executed very well. It's very fun to pose and play with. It comes with a bunch of cool accessories, and it has the best unmasked Tom Holland head sculpt that we've seen in 6-inch form. So it's all positive stuff as far as the figure goes, but one gripe that I have with the whole situation is the fact that they made this exclusive. I really think that was a poor choice, because I feel like a lot of people wanted this figure, and I feel like a lot of people are into the new versions of Spider-Man, and I think this would have been a really popular figure, especially because it works towards Mezco's strengths, and it just shows how cool Mezco could be. And you know, why make it an exclusive? Why make something that kind of shows off the positives of your line, you know, exclusive to only some people? And getting exclusives from Mezco is just a headache in general, and I just don't understand why something that's so cool and so popular is made exclusive and a hassle to pick up and limited and all that stuff. I just don't get it. In my opinion, this as an exclusive just doesn't really make too much sense. It made sense for Nightmare Batman. That figure was almost canceled. A bunch of people wanted it. Mezco really didn't have faith in it, but they put it up as an exclusive, and you know, the people that wanted it got it. It was fairly easy to get. This figure, it went up, it sold out. The prices are gonna go crazy. Right now, you could still find this for a good price, but in the future, I feel like this thing is gonna be pretty expensive, and it's gonna be hard for people to get. And I feel like the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies are just gonna become more and more popular. They really should have made this available to everybody, and that's just the point I want to get across. I think that it was a poor choice for them to make this an exclusive, but as far as the execution of the figure, I think they did a really good job with it. I'm very happy with what we have going on here. I probably should have got another one because I've been messing with this figure so much. I feel like I'm going to damage it eventually, but yeah, he's a really fun figure, and I'm super happy to have him. But anyways, I think that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff, and thank you very much. Peace.